All right, all right. Mic check, mic check. Let's kick this thing off here. Mr. Blue here should be able to see, hear the screen, hear the screen. Okay. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Blue here, TradePhantoms.com. Be your guide and host. Carpe Diem. Let's see, is the day here today. What is today's date? Going to take us into Thursday, October 2nd, new month, second day of October, 2025, bringing us to Thursday, of course. And then we have, I'll go through about an hour, give or take, of some pre-market prep. Take us at the open, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, see if we have a couple of setups, and we'll definitely execute those said setups if I see fit. News, government shutdown, etc. Politicians being politicians. We don't play politics at Phantoms, but it is there in the backdrop. Always going to be something here. Thursday being the second, we don't really have much news anyways off here in the U.S., that is. So nothing too crazy there. We do have, of course, tomorrow non-farm payrolls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're talking about how, it's going to come out or not. The report's going to be said. Looks like we'll still be able to get them, but government is shut down, I guess. Apparently, whatever markets are up doesn't really, markets don't care about that at the moment. I'm sure that'll iron itself out. Not that big of a topic as much. And even if so, we have to trade the tape anyways, right? So I'll start this out here with this document here. What's going on, Joe Frank? What's going on, Joe Frank? What's going on, Pinksky? Charles, talk to me, Goose. What's going on, brother? Hopefully all well. Ended up being a beautiful day yesterday, by the way. Spies clipped out into new highs. But let's start this out here. Always bring this up every single morning, no matter what. Demand and supply, institutional demand and supply, that is, the proper levels of demand and supply. It's going to be the main strategy in the backdrop of Phantoms, TradePhantoms.com. Top-down multiple time frame analysis approach. You will see a lot of orange, yellows, and blues in terms of colors on my charts. That is because I color code certain time frames, mainly the big three here: monthly, weekly, daily. Monthly is going to be orange color code association. Weekly brings us to yellow color code, right? Last week's high, last week's low, for example, in yellow. Daily is going to be blue. For example, yesterday's high, yesterday's low is going to be in blue there. Have that mapped out. So this is a kind of a quick little checklist, top-down approach for Phantoms members to download, and you can kind of kick off their trade plan, etc. Even if you are a short-term scalper, right? Just maybe scalping a couple of ticks or points out of NASDAQ, NQ, or S&P Futures ES. You still need to know where you are on the higher time frames, being monthly, weekly, daily. Can't stress that enough. Phantoms members will know. Candlesticks, a bunch of fancy names, hammers, engulfings, whatever, morning stars. Great. You don't need to really memorize the names to sound smart, but however, the location and the context is more important, right? So even a couple, even last week, we had a pullback down into the rising 20 around the weekly lows, a little bit of a hammer bar here, and then we gapped up. Then we moved up, and then here we are having new highs here, right? So the context and location is going to be super important, more than the name. We're going to be looking for bullish candlesticks in the context of uptrends pulling back into demand. Brings us to bearish candlesticks, a bunch of fancy names as well. Context and location more important. Supply levels in the context of downtrends are going to be more key here in terms of identifying where these candlesticks are located. The markets right now are an all-time high still, and still a bull uptrend, right? So it's going to be hard to do that in indexes, okay? But there's downtrends in other assets. Brings us to the final liquidity map here, super important. And I kind of parked this here to the left. We talk about this in some of the what's called the advanced futures classes here at Phantoms.com, and we kind of break this down a lot more further. Of course, 2 actions, buys and sells. However, 4 possibilities, okay? Because remember, we can buy to enter. Okay, and then we would have to at some point sell to exit. Okay, and then we can also sell short to enter, which is accumulation of shorts, and then we would be buying to cover to exit. So we have to know when buying to accumulates are coming in, or when sells or accumulation are coming in, and where those exits are going to be coming in. We got 4 quadrants: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 and 2 are connected in the uptrend here, and then we have 1 and 4 connected to the downtrend. And this is the order of execution. And of course, we have to put multiple time frame analysis in association with that liquidity map. And once you have that map, it's kind of like a compass and a map to just put your orders properly and do the right things at the right time, and not try to think so much as a human being. And that's very difficult sometimes. And even myself yesterday, I kind of got in my own little head there and messed up a little bit of a trade. So just don't do it. Try not to do that, right? Moving on, let's go start out with the futures. Futures here. Oops. Hold on. I think I got y'all back. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, Eric A? What's going on, Quality Transportation? We got Mark Wahlberg in the house. There it is. Okay, so futures. S&P upper left, NASDAQ upper right, Dow Jones lower left, Russell 2000 bottom right. As you can see, Dow Jones and Russell 2000 still dragging its butt, right? However, S&P and NASDAQ party all-time highs. Here we are, right? So if you can kind of make out, I know there's a ton of lines everywhere. It's kind of annoying. So here's the current price. And is anybody surprised that we just poked out into a new all-time high? Shouldn't be. At some point, this will stop. At some point. However, here's the current price. And blah, blah, blah. I mean, just impulse correction. Last week, we pulled back down into the rising 20 at or around last week's low, putting a couple of red bars. Inside bar, green bar closes above, rally, breaking intermediate short-term supply down into these levels here. And as we can see, we have a new higher high right here. So it shouldn't surprise anybody here. Okay, green bar close, follow through to the upside. I will say for today, however, now that we are in the abyss of all-time highs, we're a little bit away from means, the averages, et cetera. So, of course, we're going to be looking at some options depth. Is already a massive positive gamma node above current price in the SPX, which I will get to in a moment. Okay, but there's no objective level of supply as we just wiped out the previous all-time high, which was just a short, a week ago, give or take, September 22nd, right over here, right? Pulled back, couple of red days there, no big deals. It's a very classic pullback. Okay, and now we have new highs here. We're going to map out our Globex high, Globex low for some G traps. We'll get to that in a moment. NASDAQ as well. Boom, pop new high. There we go, right? Just impulse correction at around the last week's low, rising 20 period moving average, putting a red bar here, inside green bar, starting to close above red bars here, right? Inside day. Yesterday we did swipe, Thursday. Slow down. Yesterday being Wednesday, did a quick little swipe down there, okay? Right below prior day lows. Couldn't even break the Globex low. Was kind of hoping for that, prepped for that. Didn't even break the Globex low. Putting a hammer bar here, and then we have some continuation here, over here, right? So I'm sure, a lot of people, oh no, the government's shutting down. I'm sure, let's sell the market. All right. And then as we're trying to grind up back up, anybody who's trying to sell short, okay, has to buy a cover at some point. So here we are right now, right? So more buyers and sellers, and we're getting a punch higher. NASDAQ new all-time highs record. All right. So I just broke that, right? So we'll map out our Globex highs, Globex lows, and of course, we have to be careful. There's no objective level of supply, of course. So I'm going to be using the SPX market maker gamma, okay, for overhead ceiling or glass ceiling, I should say. But yeah, we'll map out our Globex high, Globex low for some G traps. We have to be a little cautious here today too, just because of, even if we go higher, pull back imminent, even just on a short-term basis in terms of intra-day, okay. And Russell 2000 and Dow Jones, boring, snooze fest, wake up. But albeit, still, 20 EMA, 200 EMA, beautiful thing here, right? So, love that 20 period moving average, 200 period moving average relationship. Okay. And you can see, market's doing its thing, just right in the 20, high, low, albeit nice and clean. I know you can barely see the actual chart of the NASDAQ and the S&P up here, but it's kind of clean down here in regard to Russell 2000 and the NASDAQ, right? So, I'm sorry, Dow Jones. And so, we could run in that 20, et cetera. It's a beautiful thing there, right? So if you know, you know. Moving on, monthly, weekly, daily. TP Tesla, Mark Wahlberg. Oh, I messed up Tesla so bad yesterday. Yeah, TP Tesla right off the open if you still have some contracts left over from yesterday. For sure. We got monthly here, weekly here, daily here. Yeah, leave your brain at the door. Indeed, Joe Frank. Be numb inside and just trade the tape. Looking at the recap of yesterday's Tesla trade, just silly retail mistakes. So not today, Mr. Blue, right? So we got a monthly here, weekly here, daily here. Super important, monthly, weekly, daily, no matter what. Even if you're a short-term trader. However, we could drop down. We got a 60-minute here upper left, 30-minute bottom left, 5-minute time frame here in the middle, followed by a 2-minute time frame here, just to give you all the lay of the land. All right, and we have here's the 1 hour time frame, 60-minute time frame of the S&P futures. Here's current price. Here's the overnight session in gray, right? So we have an overnight high, overnight low. We're going to map that out in a moment. But before, I just do a quick little recap of the prior day, just really quickly. We had yesterday Globex high here, yesterday Globex low here in gray space. And ding, 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 market was opening about here. Now, yesterday we had a drop down. It happened about 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we just kind of, we swiped below this demand level, liquidity sweep a little bit there, put in a Globex low there. Then we started to rally back up a little bit. We took this red bar out, and we have a positive COG here. So this was about an hour or two before the market opened yesterday. And as a team, we were looking at this because this is what's called a, this is a positive COG, and it just took out this red bar here back above, okay, this white dash line, which is VWAP for that day. Okay, VWAP, and back above kind of the 20 moving average, et cetera here, right? And so we were leaning against that bar yesterday, right? So we had like a couple of inside days. Then the market opened, ding, ding, ding. We did a quick little rally here. Then we dropped down a little bit. And then the market started to unravel. And then we started to rally back up and started to get some closes, okay? We never broke this, what's called wide range bar here. And we had a note there, 6699.09. A lot of nines there, right? Number of sequence, doesn't matter. And it's just a quick little, that could be off a couple of ticks there. All right, but the point is that we were leaning against this bar here. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Markets ended up rallying. Okay, got long some spies there. Not enough size, by the way. I should have got way more size on this. Then you just started to trickle back to the upside here. And we were talking about how, the only thing, if this market were to rally back up above the prior day's high, which was yesterday's high, as we were trading yesterday, which was Tuesday's high, as we're trading Wednesday. Okay, anything above that prior day high, which we inevitably broke, okay, was the all-time high. Okay, and even yesterday, there was the all-time high futures. We rallied right through that. Okay, so again, yeah, there was supply levels here. We are mentioning this. It's been absorbed, broken, level here, absorbed, pulled back, tested it again, swiped it, pulled back, and then buyers picked it up, came up, and then the buyers just beat the crap out of the sellers, new high. Okay, so indeed, we did not get this pivot for that new low. Again, this bull market just continues to go until further notice. Now moving on, we got today's Globex high here. Globex high is the overnight high. That could change. It just went up a couple ticks there, so we just update that right there. Just went up a couple more ticks right there. Okay, I'm not going to play that game, so we can just leave that there for now. And then we got Globex low today right there. So there's the high. There's the low of the Globex low. Okay. Now, this was once the all-time high, right? This was once the all-time high in the S&P futures. Now, we already broke that. Closed above that. Did we already get a retest, team? We already got a retest a little bit there, right? After the ding, ding, ding market, regular trading hours here closed, right? Pulled back. This was the retest level. We already hit that, and we already rallying above that. Okay. There you go, bullish endeavor trader. Good job. Retest, okay? And we're already rallying out of that. Now, this is what I was mentioning earlier. Here's the 20 EMA. Here's just a basic, simple, 50 EMA. I'm just on a small time frame right now. The 20 EMA is super powerful. Some folks will even put the 200. VWAP is right here. So we have new highs here, and we're away from these needs. Okay, now that doesn't mean that we can't just go higher. We could still continue to go higher. But one of the things that I'm going to be looking for today, potentially, okay, is as we do make these potential highs, some kind of mean revert at some point potentially today. All right. Now that said, all right, just keep in mind that this was the previous high over here. We had a retest. We already tagged that, and that already gave us the Globex low right there. All right. Now yesterday's high is right here. Birds. All right, that's yesterday's high. We already broke yesterday's high as well, already outside day. Now the strategy is, listen to what I'm about to say here. The strategy here is going to be, if we were to break the Globex low, is there an institutional level of demand below said Globex low? And if I look here at current price, we would drop lower and we would break this Globex low and blue line here. Do I have an institutional level of demand down and left? And we do, right? So this is a nice little impulse, bit of a basing here, and a nice rally. And did this impulse, basing, and this rally here actually the one that kicked off into this new high right here, right? Does that make sense? It was a little bit more of selling coming in here, battle. Then the buyers, popped out into new highs, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so this is going to be what's called a G trap or a Globex trap, long, bullish, which is a demand zone, qualified level of demand zone, that is, below the Globex low. So this price point comes in at, this bird's excited too. 67.46, give or take. I'll round down to 67.45 handle. This would be what's called a G-trap long bullish. And Mark Wahlberg, who is a future GOAT, already is a GOAT, my man, one of the top Phantoms members at Phantoms.com, TradePhantoms, Mark Wahlberg, the man. What he's also mentioning, in addition to that, it's a flip zone, right? So we had the supply here, right? Which was working for a couple tags here, tink, 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 right? But we rallied up, and this was a battle, and this was the at or around the flip area here, right? So it was once supply, okay? There's also now demand on the other side. So I could just kind of flip these into a green color code here, take off kind of the notation there. All right. And these are going to be areas where we flipped. Okay. All right. There's also a secondary level as well, in addition to this, down into here. Right, we had the rally, the basing. Right, took a little while yesterday. Not that much, not long. It was a little basic. Up down a little bit. Opening day's range yesterday. Then we finally popped out. Okay, so that area down here too is a secondary level here where we can also look for a potential G trap as well. G trap is just getting long or bullish at a level of demand, trying to trap people who are trying to short this market, who are still just getting, anybody who chased price lower down here, red bar. Okay, below, breaking, government shutdown, faded, new high. Okay, so that's the case. Now, the G-trap short, there's no level of supply, so I can't even look at it. We must use other tools, and the only thing that we can really use is options. Options open interest above current price, and of course we use some advanced things here. This was called options depth. All right, and when I get to the SPY and the SPX, I'm going to talk about this massive darkness gamma node up here. Heavy blue up here, which is going to be 67.60 beginning here on the SPX. All right, we'll get to that in a moment. Got to do Nasdaq futures. So beautiful, beautiful here. We got all-time high. So again, for supply, we have to look for positive gamma up here. We'll get to that. That's what I was just mentioning there. Switch over to Nasdaq futures. Got to keep a steady flow here, as we are 24 minutes before market open. Nasdaq. Right, yesterday's Globex high, Globex low. Right, there goes that wide range bar that we were leaning against just yesterday. A little bit of a basing, boom, pop. Nasdaq took off. Nasdaq still taking off here. Okay, here's the once all-time high. Right, no more. This is the previous all-time high. Darkness. Charlie Murphy, come in. Charlie Murphy. Scaring the new folks on YouTube. All right. There's the previous all-time high. Now we have a new all-time high here. All right. So we already kind of broke that. Now we could also have another test on the other side here, right? All these yesterday's high, daily highs, also testing the other side. Now I'm going to update our Globex low, which is right there. Globex high, overnight high, which is right there. Still putting it in. We're on highs. Still putting it in. We're on highs. All right. This is why I'm saying we have to be careful with a pending pullback here. Okay. So just because we're up doesn't mean that we're just going to continue up. All right. We'll see. All right. Be patient here. Globex low, sticking to the process here. This was what? All-time high. That's a retest right there. That would be within the Globex. We also have this week's Monday's high here. We also have Tuesday's previous daily highs here. Okay. So what I'm looking for is an institutional level of demand below the Globex low. So if you can kind of hyper-focus on this blue line right there. Which blue line? That one right there that says Globex low. Below that, do we have a level of demand? Now, this is a little sneaky cat right here, impulse basing impulse. Okay, we can reference that. Okay, the thing that I like about that is this was once a previous daily high that got tweak, popped out. Okay, so this could be an aggressive, what's called G-trap long. All right, down in this area here. That's the first level of demand right below Globex low. Flip zone, as Mark Wahlberg was mentioning here. He's a Phantom member. All right, beast trader, grown into a beast. We also have this impulse basing impulse right here, a butte. That's also a previous daily high. It was once a yesterday's high from Tuesday into Wednesday. Wednesday broke that, right? So this is just a previous, kind of just a daily high, retesting the side. Flip. All right. And same thing with, this line here too, right? With this level, I should say. Colors and lines, trading and investing. How hard could it be? Depends on what you talked about yourself in your brain. The voices in your head. Don't listen to them. Listen to the chart. All right. So we got 24,975. We got 24,915. All right. These are going to be some nice pickups here in regard to these G traps. No supply to the left, so you just got to pick a number. Don't want to do that. We got to use reference. We got to reference gamma on the SPX complex there. Gold on fire. Butte. Monthly, weekly, daily up. Monthly, weekly, daily up. September, one of the biggest, strongest months in gold. If you don't know that, well, you're not educated. Get educated. All right, Phantoms members. We talk about that so much that it gets boring at some point, right? Doing its thing. Gold breakout, of course, monthly, weekly, daily up. Just continuing its relentless push at the moment. Mapping out our Globex high, Globex low. Always be careful with, just always referencing that 20 period moving average. Anytime that we get a little bit out there, we're starting to get some Bollinger Japan tags out here on the monthly and the weekly and the daily, so on and so forth. Just be cautious here, okay, because we can have a mean revert. Gold on a tear at the moment. Globex high, Globex low, same thing. Okay, in which Globex low is here. Globex high is here. Mark Wahlberg wanted me to go to GLD so much yesterday, I just completely forgot because I was being an idiot. But there's no objective level of supply. We got this all-time high supply right here. I mean, yeah, we do. But those have been getting taken out. That could easily just get taken out potentially today. So, there is something there, of course. Just a new high tag there. So, that's a reference point. All right, as you can see, gold futures are, of course, just, we've pulled back yesterday a little bit there, no big deal, as needed, and just pulled back into some, I'm on a 60-minute time frame of gold futures, and we just pulled back into some crappy even demand level here, and couldn't even really get below this, and couldn't even break a level at all, and to get to a level of even crappier demand, and it's just not even getting lower, right? It's just kind of grinding higher. Now, we have to be careful with that, because as we get up here more on the monthlies and weeklies and dailies, okay, Bollinger Bands here, those are starting to get outside of what's called 2 standard deviations. Not on a small time frame, but on the weekly here. Okay, daily's starting to poke out here as well. Even the monthlies are starting to poke out here. So yes, gold can continue to rally, but it's starting to get a little bit exhausted here. Not because Mr. Blue is saying so, because who the heck am I? I'm nobody. But just mathematical in terms of standard deviations. Okay, prices don't like to stay outside of 2 standard deviations outside of Bollinger Band up here for too long. So again, I'm just mentioning here, just be cautious here. If you're getting long, okay, cool. But on these new highs, be very, I would say, cautious, or have a healthy skepticism of how high this can go before we can potentially pull back. Okay, on a deeper pullback. I'm not just talking about a 5 minute pullback or a 1 hour, 2 hour pullback. I'm talking about a multi-day pullback at some point. However, for today, we have a Globex low here, Globex high here. In the event that we do break this at Globex low, we have a couple levels of demand below current price, and we even have this level here, which is kind of a bit of a breakout. Okay, 38.50, 47 here. Okay, we even a ton of levels. Okay, so if you're a Phantom member, you know how to kind of qualify here. All right, anything down in here, use some daily lows, etc., in which we can potentially use for some swipes as well. But yeah, a couple levels down in here. I'd be a little bit more conservative here, especially I'm on YouTube, right? Don't know who's listening, etc. 38.47. That would be a little more of a safer one as opposed to this one right below that said Globex low right there. Okay, so even if we drop down, this is a lot of time spent here. It's kind of just a gradual, kind of like just a grindy. So in the event that we do spike a quick little new high, we have to use GLD. You have to use the ticker GLD, which is the ETF. exchange traded fund of gold. And what you can look for is what's called open interest, big order open interest blocks. If you know how to use options. All right. You just go to open interest and look at the options there. 15 minutes before open, that might not be the best thing to do at the moment. Moving on here, we got VIX. VIX. Isn't gold supposed to do the opposite of what? The market? Theoretically, yeah, because markets are risk. Stock market is stocks more risky per se versus something like gold, which is a quote unquote safe haven, right? And typically, if you'd have like gold being up, the market that's a safe haven as people are pulling money out of say equity risk and putting it in something like safely into something like gold. However, yeah, that's theoretically yes. If you went to a college in economic school, of course they would teach you that. But right now it's decoupled, right? We got gold up and we have the market's all-time highs. So it's decoupled. So that's the thing. Things change, right? Things change. So just got to go with it. I mean, gold is maybe painting a little bit of a, it's okay. Markets are all-time highs. Things are getting a little high and extended, etc. Okay, blah, blah, blah. People always say that. And of course, yes, I have a healthy skepticism of this market at some point giving us a, 2 to, I would say 7% correction at some point, right? Does that make sense? And, gold being up. All right, but gold's up, but also gold is getting a little exhausted too, where it could pull back a little bit down too. All right, but yes, by theory, by the books, the Economics 101 book, yes, gold would typically be a safe haven, doing the opposite of what the markets or indexes would be doing. But not this year, right? That's why in Mark Douglas, one of the 5 fundamental truths of trading in general, what's number 5? Trading the Zone, Mark Douglas, must-read book if you're serious about this. Number 5, rule number 5. It's still in the top 5. Every moment is in the market is unique. All right, so if you're like, back in the 1970s, this has been working since, okay, that was 1970s, 50 years ago. Things change. That's why rule number 1, trade the price action. I made a mistake yesterday looking at SPY gamma nodes, and that was affecting the way that I traded Tesla. I wasn't even looking at the Tesla chart. I was looking at something else, telling myself a different story, not looking at the price action of Tesla itself. Trade the price. All right. And I'm giving y'all a live example of me personally making a mistake because I'm thinking about something else. Shouldn't it be doing this? Shouldn't it be doing this? Right. Well, it's doing this. It's not doing that. It's doing this right now. Okay. So you got to do the right now of what it's doing right now. All right. Thank you for the TED. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. All right, we got VIX painting 16, give or take. VIX down, market up, VIX up, market down. Inverse correlation. There's a lot more to that. 30-day implied volatility SPX. We'll keep it simple for right now. We're going to map out the overnight high, overnight low, just like we did in the S&Ps and NASDAQ and gold futures. There's the overnight low. Here's the high overnight. And I kind of just pinned, okay, if we were to break the overnight high and sustain above the overnight high, that could be more bearish for the market. So VIX up, market down. However, if VIX remains low or kind of grinds lower, VIX down, market up, opposite. And I kind of leave one there pinned last I looked at it. So just using yesterday as a reference, okay, VIX for the most part. All right, ding, 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 ding. This was just regular trading hours from yesterday, this darker space here. Right off the open, we're a little choppy here. A little spike up in VIX. Market kind of swiped down a little bit there, no big deal. All right, didn't break anything. And then we just continue to grind lower on the VIX. As the markets just grinded their way higher, making new all-time highs. Okay, so there goes that inverse correlation there visually. SPYs, moving on. I got weekly on the left, daily on the right. Maybe that's why it's going up, because the government shutdown fear. It's just going up because there's more buyers and sellers and we're in a bull market uptrend. If the government didn't even shut down, it would probably still be doing what it's doing right now, right? Don't find reasons outside, find reasons within the price action and yourself. That's one thing that you'll learn as you get more experience as a trader. There's always some bullshit in the backdrop, man. Keep your mind clear. AVGO on the list. If it goes up, quality transportation, my man. We got my man QT. we got spies here, right? Daily bar closed yesterday, right? I remember on this day here on Hammer on Friday, we were a bit choppy, closed nice green there, basing in the middle, rally back up a little bit, took a couple of 1-2 days here, boom, pop new high. Okay, bull market, bull market, bull market. Here we are. Now we do have a green bar close yesterday, and we have a gap up here. So green bar close plus gap up, a little bit of a novice gap there. So we want to be a little bit careful here, a little bit of chasey here. Chase price up, up, up. So be careful. Now we could rally up a bit more, of course. All right, but mean reverting pending. So we have, if we do gap up, we have yesterday's highs, a potential retest. We have this unfilled gap here now. The key takeaway here is going to be, okay, from here to here on the slight gap up, we're up about what, 0.34%. If I equate that to the SPX, and this is where we can get some information in regard to positive gamma node for some kind of supply, as we don't have any on the chart, as we're at all-time highs, so we need to look for gamma. What does that mean? Regular basic retail traders talk about what's going on the news. Professional traders talk about what's going on with price action, liquidity, and orders. Fuck the news. 0.34. SPX implied open 67.35-ish, 30-ish. What does that mean? Well, if I go to options maker gamma, where orders are, where professional traders are placing orders, not what the talking heads on TV are saying, okay, feeding you whatever they want you to hear, 67.65. Okay, where is the massive positive gamma node. Now we're opening 67.35 handle, give or take, and that's going to be at or around here, folks. Okay, all right, get off the news, and why don't you learn something here, higher level? Okay, it's all bullshit on the news, right? So opening up here about the 35 handle, we are going to be opening up at or around a positive gamma node. Crazy thing about today is you have a little bit of a negative GEX above and a little bit of a negative GEX below. Now, what does GEX mean? Go to TradePhantoms.com and learn. All right, and then maybe you would get off the news and some politics, and maybe you would learn to trade some price action. Right. So we got these green and blue nodes here. That is what's called positive gamma. Keep it short and sweet. If we were to rally up into this darkness, okay, of this dark blue and this green, as we rally up, since this is above price, as we rally up, market makers would have to sell into this area here. So this is going to provide some natural, what's called supply or resistance into the marketplace today. What price point is that? That's going to be up at the SPX 6760, up into the 6765, all the way up to the 6775. So let's round, okay, from 60 to 75. That would be an area where we have some market makers who control these markets, okay, or don't control them, but they have a big component of this. This is a positive gamma node here, and we talked about what, the 60 into the 75, right? So this would provide some potential supply dump, okay, in the event that we get up here, okay, in terms of market maker. And that's a big, the darker, the better. Okay, now we're opening at around here. We have a little bit of a negative GEX above. So this red and yellow is negative gamma, or right, in which prices could, if prices would go down, okay, through this, price could swipe very quickly below this. However, if price were to get back above here, price can swipe very quickly above here as well. So pretty interesting right now. We have negative gamma below, negative gamma above, heavy positive gamma above there. If I were to look at a decent little gamma node right here, we have positive gamma 67.15. So if I go here to 67.15, and notice I put that in red to visualize supply. And then we have 67.15, and I put this one in green. So you can kind of visualize that this represents, am I right about this? Too far down. 67.15, that little guy right there. I'm way down, too far down, Mr. Blue. Where are you going? There we are. Oh, there's a gap fill there. So do I have a gap fill plus a small, not crazy, not as dark as the other one, but do I have a decent little positive gamma node at or around the yesterday's high retest and or gap fill at or around here, team? Yes or no? Now, some new folks in here, like, what does this gamma stuff mean? Aren't we supposed to be looking at Donald Trump and the government shutdown? Fuck no. Get out of here with that mess. News, cause and effect. Who cares? It's going to make traders do things. And what are the professional traders? What other things that the professional traders are doing? All right, so I get the market maker gamma exposure here. All right, 67.15 down in here. That's going to provide some demand supply. Oh, we got some retest levels. So I was a gap up. If we come down in here, yesterday's high tag, maybe the gap fell down or in here. This is going to be a nice area of interest. So we're going to be opening up at or around here to 35, give or take, if that doesn't change over the next 5 to 10 minutes. All right, there you go. For those of you who know, there you go. Moving on here, we got Qs. Charlie Murphy. Bullish Endeavor Trader. I'm sorry, Blue. Where was the gamma darkness level for NQ? So great question. There's actually this is Options Depth. We're not affiliated with them or anything like that here at Phantoms, but this is a good product here. Love this market maker gamma. I love the way that they put this together. Did I say how much I love this? The thing about this is it's only SPX at the moment right now. But what we can do, Bullish Endeavor Trader, is take, right, because the S&P and the NASDAQ, the S&P meaning SPX and the NASDAQ meaning NQ or QQQs are very similar, right? They're both indexes. NASDAQ is tech and the S&P is all sectors. However, what we can do, Trader Endeavor, is use the SPX timing and levels, okay? And for example, if the SPX, say, rallied up into, for example, this area of these what we just discussed in terms of the positive, well, this chart, so delayed because of restream. If we rally up into this area here, okay, in SPX, or if we gap up and we rally down into this area here on SPX, well, I can time that with the NASDAQ, right? Does that make sense? All right, I can give you a quick little run around on it right now, whereas, okay, we could, if this thing wasn't, come on. Okay, welcome back. Time is not important, right? This would be about, off the open, give or take, this would be about, I could use yesterday's close. This would be about, what, 0.7 to 0.9% up. So on NASDAQ, you can get a rough estimate. And we don't need to even do this right now because as we are doing it, you're coming up into the level. Oh, yeah, 0.7, 0.9%. That'll be about the 609, 610 area in NASDAQ. All right, but that's just a guesstimate at the moment right now, roughly speaking. So at the time and price, if SPX were to get up into the level, I'm going to be looking at NASDAQ and timing that in addition to that. All right, Apple. All right, a couple of things that are on the list right now that are not FANG. Looking at potentially IBM, just really briefly on some gaps here. All right, I'm long this stock from long-term investment as well on the rotation down here. We had a decent little close yesterday on this. We got a weekly on the left. Yeah, we are at a weekly level of supply. All right, decent little positive, positive COG yesterday. Slight gap down, belt hold here. We'll see if we get some fall through there. PLTR is another one here that I'm looking at in terms of alignment. Team's been focusing on this yesterday. I missed the trade on this stupidly, but the team got this beautifully. Might be able to get some potential fall through on this too as well. All right, slight gap up. I can't really see nothing. We have all-time high right there. Why not just tag that? So it might be a quick little trade right off the open on PLTR. Carvana as well. I liked yesterday's close on CVNA, in which this is just higher, high, high, low grinding. We had a red bar close, an anti-bar setup. Yesterday we had a little pro gap up off the 20, green bar close here, positive COG, and then we have an outside gap. And there's really nothing to stop price. This is all wick here. So, Carvana might potentially give us this little move from here to here to fill this potential space. Okay, QCOM as well, another one. A couple of teams were looking at this. QCOM and Oracle, decent here. And then Oracle, there was actually a trading setup. Anybody pulled the trigger on this yesterday? The team was watching, looking at this. Pinsky, Dylan, the man, Phantom member. I'd say one of the fastest growing Phantom members I've seen. That kid has a brain, that's for sure. We're talking about this, and it closed positive COG. So we have a trading setup there. If you took that, I managed to get in a little bit of something there, along with Meta with that credit spread that we were talking about yesterday as well. But we might have some fall through on this too as well, right off the open there. Positive COG at the rise of 20 there. We were discussing that yesterday at Phantoms. All right. So those are a couple of things that are on the list right there. I just put them right below kind of Netflix and IBM. Apple. Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, I'm watching for the sweep there. I love trading Netflix, but it's been very rangy at the moment. We talked about that a little bit there yesterday as well. In addition, the gap today is not going to be that much of a big, it's not telling me much on the gap. Apple, all-time high is very close, right there, very close to it, 260. We're trading 256 on pre-market on this. We had this massive breakout move, which was needed after this massive range. Great. We're still in some nice little momentum here. A couple weeks ago, we had this wide range bar here. We're just been holding the upper third range here. So again, we could impulse basing. This could be an impulse just on a new high tag. We get some long Apple, this week. It hasn't really been fall. We've been making some money here intraday. Boom, 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 little pop. Hasn't really popped out just yet, but we have a little bit of a rally there. Broke it last week's high, came back down, right? We have a slight gap up. So we could potentially get some continuation. We'll see if the intraday tape lines up with that. Amazon, a little bit more of the weaker one in terms of the Mag 7. I want to be a little bit careful in this range. There's other ones that might be better. Just moving on here. AVGO, we discussing this as well. We're talking about this unfilled gap here. Be careful with everything down here with some swipes. Right now, pre-market quote, clearing gap up here. And we just opened up, so I don't have enough time. Meta does indeed have a pain gap as well. Joe Frank, good job, brother. I'm going to switch this over to the daily. Try to do less clicks here because Restream is slowing the computer down. All right, so Palantir I know is on the list. Palantir is giving us a wide range bar right off open here. That's moving fast. PLTR. Let's see. We get the 190, so I don't want to be too far away from that. Long call PLTR here. Pick up the 190, so 190. Oh my God, there must be a sign. 190 strike. Friday's Expo. Rayshon. Pick these up, going for about $1.80, give or take here, $1.90. Long call, PLTR, copy and paste this code, put it over here. We'll see if we get some follow through on this. $182. We'll grab this in my other account. I should have waited for the first 2-minute print there. All right, I'm going to even add to this real quick right now on this account here. Let me grab this in my other account. What is this, the 190 strike? All right, that's not working out, following through so far. All right, keep it moving here. All right, long call there. I'll fill in the notes later. Probably should wait for the first 2-minute bar there. No follow through on that. We see Oracle. IBM a lot better here, right? Y'all see IBM? Added to that Palantir lower. Yeah, NVIDIA breakaway. I want to be a little careful with it, but yes, indeed. If you own that in your long-term portfolio, which I'm hoping everybody at least has a little bit of something there. I shaved out a little bit of shares yesterday, and I'm going to shave out a little bit more here today too. We got Microsoft. It's hard. It's been trusting lately, but makes advanced declines at 0 line. Valdi slightly higher. Tech and Q's strong. Microsoft trying to break out here, trying to do its thing. All right, so I got to get long call Microsoft here. Oracle looking good. All right, so Microsoft, I'm going to pick up a 30 delta here just for a lower risk. It's been fakey breaky. You can see NASDAQ's not really following through either, so we're going to be a little bit cautious on this. All right, see NASDAQ, even though we're gapping up. I mean, we have a gap up. We're fading lower a little bit here. IBM is better. All right, I'm going to pick up the spread's super wide on this, which is annoying. So we got to be a little careful with it. Meta looking like a nice little positive COG. I'll pick up some IBM here. Oh, hitting market on this is going to be terrible. Palantir, no follow through. Meta, NVIDIA. Looking good. Long call Meta. This is going to be IBM just real quick here. It's too heavy. Apple a little heavy. Palantir, no follow through. NVIDIA does have positive COG here. It's just up there at the moment. Coin. Palantir, no follow through. Qualcomm better. Getting long Coinbase. Coin. Hard for me to pull trigger when NASDAQ's dropping like that on Microsoft, etc. This is Coinbase. Long call Coinbase here. I'll pick up the 460s. I'm sorry, the 365. Palantir, absolutely no follow through on that. All right, this is long call. This this coin here, okay? Too quick on Palantir. Options are cheap on that, so I can be patient with that bad boy there. Just make sure you have some orders to TP. Out on these. You can see Palantir down, no follow through on that. All right, down 40, 80 cents on these for sure. Got IBM, S&Ps down a bit off of the opening gap. MU was on fire yesterday. Too high there. All right, DKNG, yeah, that was a good pick, Mark Wahlberg. AMD. Things are fading lower. Nasdaq's about to fill the gap. Sifted through this negative GEX here. All right, so we get this retest level. All right, Meta long call. Pain gap on Meta. What's the fix doing? Fix is up a bit there. You see that? Nasdaq filling its gap. You might want to be a little patient on Meta call, but that thing's bucking the trend at the moment. VIX up a bit there on an uptick. Nasdaq about to fill look at the potential area of gap fill. All right, I'm gonna pull a trigger on Meta. Long call here. I'll pick up the 730s. Strike, that is. All right, VIX is up, so we're gonna be a little cautious on that, on this. What strike is this? 730 strike, right? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, open up above yesterday's high. The only thing about Meta is which I like about it, but market's a little heavy at the moment right now, coming into that gamma node, and we're retesting. So I'm gonna get to that. See Microsoft, hard to follow through there. I did not trust that today. However, I will say on Meta, it does have some residual kind of. It's been one of the weaker ones over the past week or two, right? But because of that outside gap above the prior day's high with a wick down there, a little bit of pain there. And the fact that we're holding some kind of bids, at least on the moment when S&Ps and NASDAQ are down, if the S&P and the NASDAQ take some kind of bid up, that could kind of potentially catapult Meta. But it's grinding its way here, right? So, as long as we have some TPs above here, man, Palantir. Wait for those closes, folks. Got too excited on PLTR. All right, TP some coin. We could TP some coin here, right? Hit it. Shout out Mark Wahlberg. TP some coin. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Meta, hit it. Hit it, hit it, hit it, coin. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, coin. Hit it, hit it, hit it, coin. Fuck PLTR. Hit it, hit it, hit it. 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 All right, Meta. Hit it, hit it, hit it. All right, hit it, hit it, hit it. Meta. IBM, ugh. All right, hit it, hit it, hit it in Meta. For real, Mark Wahlberg, AVGO. AVGO became wild. Just straight up wild. Make sure you're hitting it there, okay? Coin, hit it. Grab this 8-8. Yeah, nice, easy, meta, right? I mean, I'm not meta. PLTR looking weird. Coin, noise. All right. What are we hitting? Profits. Not in IBM, though. And not in PLTR. I'll just slide it down there. All right, long call. So anything else? All right, there's a well-needed pullback on these bad boys there intraday. Come on, IBM, what you doing, man? Still good. We could just be patient on it. Still good. IBM, that is. Palantir. Pulling back. We'll see how it responds here. Options are fairly cheap on this, so not too concerned, but jump the gun on it. That's why sometimes you wait for the first 2-minute bar to print actually, and that might have saved that a bit there. Let's see, spies. Protect your lungs. Let's see, a little bit of a gamma node here. Nothing crazy, however. Not a huge one there. $66.85. Decent little positive gamma node that we're hitting right now. That's unfilled gap there. Of course, we got the even number here at 67.2 as well, right? 100, that is. Looks like we might want to fill this gap. Is VIX still a little hot? I'm filling that gap. Well, the 11 handle. So you might want to pad this here. It's going down at the moment. At least for right now, but yeah, Palantir is most likely going to be a loss. These are expiring tomorrow. I probably should have mentioned this. My Phantoms members will know because they hang around me a little more. But these are expiring tomorrow. This is the 190 strike. If you're okay, $1.82, $1.38, whatever. I can potentially, personally, I should have mentioned this because I'm just going so quickly off the open here, but. Personally, I'm okay. It depends. Like anything below $3, I'm okay with like losing total premium. That's how I position size. So when it gets later in the week, 182, 138. If you were to cut these right now, you could, right? They're down. They're down. If you can fathom holding this and having the risk of, if you can completely have this go to zero and be okay with that risk. I was too early on it this morning, but it's not really breaking anything. And Palantir, it's still in a massive up move. So. You could potentially still hold on to those. Good job for Joe Franco picking off the 15s on SPX. You could still potentially hold on to those for a PLTR. All right, if you're okay with the risk of those, of the total premium. All right, just jumped the gun a little bit too quick on that right here. Didn't wait for that candle to close. Actually. Actual close. All right. All right. Actually, I was dumping meta, but I still, for the record, have some on. These are floating down a little bit here. So we just had a nice little bar on VWAP here. So I'm going to see if this bar gets violated on meta. I'm going to cut the remainder of meta. Coin just on fire. Let me dump a contract out. IBM Palantir. Palantir, I'll just hold. IBM still doing its thing. The spread is what's a killer here. I wanted to check futures. Okay, here's S&P. Here's daily VWAP. Battle testing right now. If you wanted to get short, this would be the order. This would be the time to get short into VWAP here. Let me dump a. I need this Coinbase here. Let me dump a little more out. Mark Weber. All right, that's coin. That's so slow. The restream lag is real. All right, if this bar gets taken out, I'm just going to cut the remainder of meta. On this. Where are we in reference to? All right. Keep in mind about those blowbacks, right? Blowbacks lows. Remember, this 67.45 on S&P futures. Is that a nice, sexy level, team? Yes or no? For lack of a better term, sexy. That might be the spot today, folks. All right, late on bot puts here. That would be a nice little VWAP tag for some bot puts on new low flushes. Indeed. Right, so what is that, about 20-something odd points away here? Timing of this about yesterday, what, 12 o'clock noon-ish, give or take, Eastern. What price was that in the SPX and SPYs? Well, if I use the big brain, I know that the S&P futures and the SPX are connected. One is a future, one is the index, SPYs as well, which is the ETF. If I go to yesterday at about 12 o'clock, or I could just go do this, right? Go on an hour time frame or a 60-minute time frame. Oh, maybe a 30-minute. Gotcha. About noon time here, right? See? October 1, noon. Microsoft bounced off VWAP. I wish I could trust it. Janky Janks. I love that name, brother. Look at the monthly, weekly, and the daily. It's just so range chop. If you took it, I pray for you that it breaks out for you. But it's been, now basing's not totally bad, but for day trading, it's a little annoying there. Right. What is it? 12 o'clock, which is what right here, right? So this would line up with the G trap on the S&P futures. This is SPYs 667. And I can't spend all day with y'all in here, right? I usually go for many, many hours on the real trade room in Phantom. This is just kind of a YouTube 1 hour kind of shindig here. However, I will leave this here for folks. This is the SPY 667 down in the 6650s. This lines up with the S&P ES futures. G trap long / bullish, right? If we were to get down here today. Of course, we can even reference this little baby level right here on the SPX as well. SPYs. All right. If you're bearish, we're basing and rallying up into the VWAPs here, so you would be selling short to enter for a bearish trade below VWAP there. We just got at the first 30-minute bar / 1 hour bar close. It's red. So if you were to pick up some SPYs here on this VWAP, right on this new bar open, which we just did right now, red bar below VWAP. Right. Now, if this base is basis, we could base and pop above VWAP because we're still in the context of an uptrend, right? But if you want to try to ride this momentum lower, what's VIX doing? VIX still a little hot up. It's flat overall for the day, but it's on an uptick here. Y'all see that? Nothing crazy, but still a bull market, right? So it just could easily just violate VWAP and pop. 30-minute on 668 SPYs. Yep, got that right there, brother. Good job, Mac. Definitely TP. If short, TP in there. Maybe a rotation. There's a lot more confluence at this level here, grading it. But there's some stuff here. There's some stuff here. Coin at VWAP. Broadcom flushed out a bit. I think it's at this week's VWAP, if I'm not mistaken. We can pick up some SPY puts, just light SPY puts here. I'll check out light SPY puts. Want to be careful with this one too. Better trying to reclaim its daily VWAP. Come on, man. Oh, this is too slow for me. This is looking like it wants to sift out to the potential. The 90 is a bigger gamma node here. The 15's getting liquidated. Yeah, now would be the time on VWAP. Wow, I can't even read that. Ribzek. Yes, Hugh. Oracle call puts to VWAP. Look at the higher time frames. Come on, this is so slow. I would be moving a lot faster. Oracle's trying to start to change over here. Lean against this positive CRG. So if you were a Phantom member, we talked about this all day yesterday. Right now, the computer's acting slow because of Restream, all that. So I don't know if you're a Phantom member or not, new email, but this would be still working on this positive COG from here. All right, for swing trade, we were talking about this and still aligned. Okay, we have a little red bar here, no big deal, but off the 20. But this would be a bit more bullish off the 20 as the monthly weekly daily up. But we did have some dialogue here where we had a plan as well, kind of plan A and then plan B if we swipe lower here. So today, it's below its daily VWAP at the moment. And what it's trying to do is we snap this. We're trying to align in terms of multiple time frame alignment here. All right, now that could give out because it might want to flush out, as we were talking about yesterday, with multiple hours. So for multiple, well, we have more hours, I should say, multiple than versus just an hour on YouTube here. So that's going to be a little more bullish as we're starting to kind of change this here. So it's still a little early on this, but we already started to work on this positive COG on the daily time frame, and this would be a pullback into that with the thesis that that positive COG on daily is going to change the smaller time frames. But if that doesn't happen, we get stopped out here, and it could be a potential flush, which we have another plan B for that. Hopefully that helps. MSTR on fire. Anybody get some snags in MSTR? And I've been mentioning this here and there due to Bitcoin fixing a pop. Yeah, Palantir. One ounce of dairy trying to set up there. Potential pop for VWAP. Long put. Still below VWAP, but if you're going to be patient and see if you can break back above VWAP, that'd be the case. Advanced decline to decreasing and get long put. We have not broken this VWAP, so instead of waiting for the potential pop, you could potentially get some puts. See if we can ride this down just a little bit. Getting out of that meta. I just snagged some long puts on. Put that over here. Long put meta. I mean, long put SPYs, not meta. I got a cut meta. Just the some of the sizing that I have left on. I can wait for see if that breaks, but it's probably going to get stopped out. Looks like on the runners on meta. What is this? The 669 strike put. All right, now if this breaks VWAP to the upside, this is a put premium, 669 put premium. This is bearish, right? And so if the market continues to go down just a little bit there, we swipe down a bit there, the put premium will increase in value. Now, if the market goes up, breaks above VWAP, this put premium will decrease in value on the wrong side. So if we reclaim VWAP, I'm just going to get stopped out here, somewhere around here. So probably risking about 30, 30 odd cents here, give or take. And that would be oops. This is long put, which is bearish. All right, so if markets, so let me put this side by side. Put that there for a second. Yeah, PLTR. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow that thing just pops out new highs. That's why I'm holding those. $1.70, $1.30, right? So worst case scenario. If you can swing it. All right, so I bought some puts, right, which is bearish. So if price, which is, I'll put that red. So we need price, and we would need price to go what, down. So if price goes down, this put premium will increase, which would be good, the benefit of that, right? Now, however, if price goes up, this is not going to be good for a bought put, which is bearish. So if we, as a, what was it, 1 ounce of theory, my man, what he was mentioning was perfect, right? This could be the base, and we snap back above VWAP, which could have been the case there, right? But I don't see that yet, right? So we're still holding the VWAP. So that's why I got long some puts, okay? Now, in the event that that did happen, 1 ounce of theory did come out, and it did rally back up. Well, this put premium will decrease, and we get stopped out. So basically, this would be a stop out, okay? So I shorted. If we go up, I'll stop out. There's stop loss, think. Right? Bought these for $1, not 95 cents, whatever. If you get stopped out at 60 cents, 30-cent risk. If we continue to maybe drop lower, remember, Mark Wahlberg and the team here as well, we're talking about this SPY impulse basing impulse right now. Okay. But what do we do at demand? If we sold short, we have to buy, right? Buy. Some buyers are potentially going to be coming in at this demand level here. So if we're short, we have to buy to cover exit. Okay, from shorts. As a target. Make sense? Right now, for some folks, this could also be a buy to enter, but enter, buy to enter. All right, for long trade. All right, so what do we do already with this? As we're getting an equal, we just got a new low. What do we do on lows, folks, team? Already TP, bang, boink, boink. Right. IBM and Palantir. Let's cue the song. Unbreak my heart. Say you love me again, and go up. Unbreak my heart. Go up in stock price. I want you to make me money. Terrible. Netflix and weekly demand, I think, yeah, you are correct in your thinking process. It's just been hovering around that weekly demand for like ever now. I'm expecting some kind of swipe for some liquidity. We've been talking about Netflix for a couple times now, for many sessions at Phantoms. Serenade me, Goose. Love Charles, man. Because talk to me, Goose. AVGO. This 66.85. Massive gamma. Looks like it's a spread down here. See, tens are hanging on a little bit of a positive gamma node right there. I think a little drop right there. We just TP'd a little bit there. Seeing if we can try to break the tens. A little bit of a negative GEX to the 6,700. Theoretically, if price were to break the 6710s SPX, that is, you could be able to go down a little bit, sift through the negative gamma down into the 67 handle, potentially. All right. Meta giving back a buck on some of those runners there. Stupid Dave. Can you take me higher? Da-na-na-na-na. Getting weird. Goog's trying to push their AVGO trying to snap tilt. Keep an eye on AVGO. Here's why. First 30-minute bar could just be one massive red bar here. Fade rest of the day up, potentially, but be patient with it. Make sure it reclaims VWAP. AVGO is getting a little wacky, I will say. One of my faves, but it's getting a little wacky here. If this reclaims VWAP up here, sometimes like you'll notice if you've been doing this for long times, trading that is consistently with a setup over and over again every day. You typically get like this wide range bar, like on the 1 hour or the 30-minute time frame potentially, and then that'll be it, and then it'll just like fade it the whole day. All right, so that could potentially be a setup there, I will say. However, it's not complete yet. All right, reclaim that VWAP there. See if the buyers can outtake this drop right here, red bar, which would be back above VWAP, right? In other words, do we have a drop, a basing, and a bit of a drop right there? Continuation pattern for the open wide range bar, lean against that, continuation, right? Could not fill the gap. That's a kind of a little bit of a clue there because there's an unfilled gap officially right there. Could not fill it. Right, come back up. So if this red bar gets taken out, we start to reclaim above VWAP. All right, now we have some supply here, so there could be a little bit of a fight, but it's trying to get lined back up over here. I just don't want anybody to get long here below VWAP into the supply, then just to get body slammed. All right. But trying to line up, my Phantoms members will know because they're trained. Trying to do its thing over there. Googs, number one on the list. Off the rising 20. Good job, Joe Frank. This is why people will remember your name. Got to hit that. Can work on some pullbacks there. Wait, we get some breakout here. Positive CRG. See ya. There we go. NVIDIA as well. Amazon creep. Other mags magging. The mags are beginning to mag. SPX equal weighted. Down. The vid holding up the lid on the market. Shut up, kids. All right, NVIDIA looking good. Taking out this wide, taking out that bar. Google NVIDIA. NVIDIA is just on a tear. Looking good here on the vid. I'll pick up the 190 strike for $1.99, $2. So you can pick up the 192 half for about 95. Either or could be fine. On call the vid. the S&P's Qs is still below its VWAP for the day. I went with the lower delta. Where's my VIX? I'm gonna call lower delta. Snag this in my other account real quick. Oh, IBM. Palantir. SPY's fixing to make new low. NVDA. I got low delta risk here on the video. All right, SPY's just made new low. So we got to TP some of these SPY puts. No matter. All right, take out some of these puts here for profit. All right, Google. With that one, I didn't pull it on that one. So this is SPY TPs on the put side. All right, so first 30-minute bar here, red bar still below, right? Using that red bar as a reference VWAP, right? Sell short, boom, TP some. All right, green, blues are buys, red is sells, sell shorts, etc. So these are TP. We're going to TP in the event that we get a equal to or new low into that 30-minute intermediate demand zone here. All right, gap filled officially there. So we got that right from Doink. Gap fill TP, new low TP, equal to or new low more here down here, TP more. Yeah, I guess I'm all over my hour. So Palantir, jumped the gun a little bit on that. Too quick. I'm gonna hold those Thursday into Friday. It's flat. I mean, it's not down. It's just where I got in a little bit too early. I didn't wait for just a simple kind of 2-minute bar close there. So, but $1.30. I hate to have y'all like you take a loss. I take this extremely serious when I trade live in front of people and Phantoms members, etc. I care more about y'all than I care about myself. I digress. But the so I'm gonna hold those for the record there. Okay. The higher time frame is still good. All right, it could have been the swipe below that intermediate demand right there. I like that wick right here. All right, but we'll see. All right, long day. It's only an hour in, not even, right? So good there. IBM as well. For the record, I own this. We talked about this for a long time now, but this is very similar as well in that I'll see money boy coins. If you're still there, yep. Take care of the kids, brother. That's what's most important. IBM as well, where it just we have the supply, right? So this weekly supply. I even dumped a little shares yesterday, the day before, whatever, with the team. Right, as a weekly time frame here on the left, we were talking about this setup, impulse correction, just classic, right? Think whatever. The reason I'm talking about right now, not because we're talking about bullish, investing, even long-term investment accounts down over here. That was weeks ago, post earnings. But I'm going to trade for it today live here with y'all, right? So The only thing that's hanging this up right now is this little baby weekly supply here. Then we get the all-time high supply. So we are at a level of supply, albeit, I will say. We already swiped a little bit above that. As we get some momentum here. But you can see the daily over the past couple of days. Albeit just a little sideways there, no big deal. All right, that could be the case. Now, this would be a base and drop, okay, from this weekly supply. Don't get me wrong. All right, but this could also be an impulse. We're still holding up in the upper third of the latest and greatest daily impulse move here, right? All right. And even if you could eat right, even right there. All right, so it's gonna be a base. Yesterday we had a nice little green bar. However, it's a green bar still inside of a mother bar here. All right, give or take. So it could just be in a base and a basing. So tomorrow's expiration, what strike do I happen to have here? 287.5. Right, so it's down about a buck, maybe more, give or take. Spread's annoying on these two, right? A little bit over a buck there, right? 127 from right. So, the strike is 287.5. 287.5 is right there. All right. Now, I don't want to entice y'all and get y'all all excited and blah blah blah. However, is 287.5 stock price, which is right there, is that within the range of, say, today and or tomorrow being expiration? If it were to work out and rally, is this doable? Right? Yes, of course it is. We don't own the 297 way up there. All right. Right. So, we'll see. I'm not going to cut it. It's just in kind of mid-range, long day. We'll see. I'm going to be leaning against this wide range bar here. And we get the 287.5, or I get the 287.5 if y'all didn't cut it. I'm going to see if I can see how this unravels for the rest of the day here. And if I take my loss on 2.5 points or 2.5 points, give or take, I'll just eat it. I'll just eat it, take a loss, and file it into the loss segment and move on with life. Go to the gym. AVGO moved up a little bit there. Yep, I would suggest wait for that little supply zone to potentially clear, right? So if you see what I did in SPYs, that's what you almost have to do in that. Yes, it moved up a little bit, but did it get? If you remember what we were talking about SPYs based on 1 ounce of theories, great comment to open up dialogue earlier in the session today already. How we were at VWAP, and it was looking like it's basically like it's gonna pop, but it's like it didn't yet, right? And so we're respecting that. So similar in AVGO, even if I go back to AVGO, it moved up, okay, great, but did it go up above what you needed it to do? Does that make sense? Not yet. Patience. Right. And look, I'm not here to be perfect. I wasn't patient enough on PLTR this morning, right? So nobody's perfect, but it moved up. Great. It's above its VWAP, but did it clear supply? Not quite yet. Right, so be patient. It's going to be the pullback. If that starts to go and we get positive COG red bar above here, pull those triggers. Right, all other things being equal. All right. Hood on fire. He's right. Hood has been great. I have to get new highs. We're going to pull back on this. All right, but that's my time now, folks. That's annoying. Trade safe. Make sure you are being patient and let the market come to you in your levels and your setup. Don't jump the gun, as they say. Keep eye on that VIX. Creeping. And that's it for me on YouTube here. Charles, talk to me, Goose. All right. If you want to not be a loser or learn how to be a professional loser in trading and investing, because being a good loser, a professional loser, is actually good. What does that mean? You have losing trades in trading and investing. You have to be okay with that. But professional losing is what you need to be doing. How do you lose professionally? Well, go to TradePhantoms.com. Most retail traders lose. We can help you fix that shit. If you click on register there, we got what? Today being Thursday, October 2nd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, 8 hours away. Name, email, phone number, etc. Click attend. You can hit register. You'll be hosted by the Mr. Black or the Mr. Green. Sometimes they'll be in there together there to help each other out. Here's the topics agenda. I'm not going to read all that out. We're all pro traders on this side here. Okay. Not just stocks, futures, forex, options, even crypto these days as well. Love me some Bitcoin. And then if you're just starting out trading for some income, side hustle, all good. We have 16 high school people in here, right? People in high school, not that age matters, starting to begin their trading career, all the way up into that age matters, up into the retirement age-ish, right? 70 plus, just managing some retirement, active management for themselves, right? Leaving the legacy there. So everything in between there: day trading, swing trading, long-term investment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if anybody took that meta trade yesterday. It's already profitable on this little move, slight move up, nothing too crazy there. But anyways, multi-direction, up, down, and sideways. And we'll tell you how we operate there, just in terms of demand supply. That's just, it is what it is, but kind of how we operate. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's cool as well. Shake your hand, part ways. We're not for everybody, and everybody's not for us. And but that will be the chance for you to kind of take a peek to see what it's like. There's hours and hours and hours and hours of free stuff on YouTube here that I've been guiding and hosting, Mr. Black and Mr. Green myself, right? I've been doing it. If you're new, all right, we do this every day, every week. If I'm alive, I'm trading, and I care about the team, more about the team than myself. We're onto a bigger, better things here. I already know how to trade, so I'm just passing it on to folks. And yes, of course, man, this fucking costs money for a subscription. No shit, right? What's free? There's nothing fucking free. If it's free, it's sketchy, right? So yes, go check that out. See if you like it. And if not, that's cool, man. I'm still going to be doing my thing, Rip and Tape, and the team in here as well. For my Phantoms members, I'll see y'all later. Today's Thunder Thursdays, so y'all know what that means. Do back-to-back classes. Continue to grind out. Conditions have not been super, super easy, so be patient. And I'll check y'all for sure later. And then tomorrow morning, live trade room. Let's go. Let's hit it, and we'll finish up strong for the week. Fair enough? God bless. Take care. Blue out. Trade safe.